Hey, it's your old pal Avian and Loaded, and I had a viewer request for a tour of the mini art gallery that I created just outside the toy room. It's mostly devoted to comic book related artwork. We have some original art, we have some prints, we have um, this Justice League Unlimited lithograph that you see before you, which I believe was a limited edition. I think it was one of 1,000 or one of 3,000, something like that. There weren't that many of them made anyway. And I was very lucky to get that beautiful Bruce Timm image called The Guardians of Justice. And that is the first thing that catches your attention when you come to the upstairs where my toy room is and you see the, as I say, mini art gallery, which is always a work in progress, by the way, and is somewhat cluttered at the moment. I'll show you. We had to move some stuff around a few months ago, so I have a dresser out in the hallway here, which kind of cuts down on the art gallery aesthetic. But this is also now my overflow table for the toy room, and I'll show you some of the stuff that's on there as well, since we're doing this. And there is a pillow in the art gallery, in case anyone would like to sit on the bar stool. I love that stool. And the pillow is a Star Wars artwork by the great Al Williamson, who became famous for his science fiction comics in the 1950s, working for EC Comics on titles like Weird Science and Weird Fantasy, and Weird Science Fantasy, and Incredible Science Fiction. I think that's most of the science fiction titles that they did at EC, but I wasn't really planning to mention that. But anyway, in the 1980s, he drew a lot of Star Wars comics, including the newspaper strip. And this image of Darth Vader, which I believe is taken from either a title page or a cover of their adaptation of The Empire Strikes Back. But anyway, I like Al Williamson's artwork enough that this little pillow just sort of represents him here in the art gallery. I'll give you a little bit of a closer up look at the Justice League Unlimited print by Bruce Timm, who was one of the producers and an artistic influence, certainly, on Justice League Unlimited, which is my all-time favorite DC Comics media adaptation. So, going immediately to the right over here, this is a piece of original art that was gifted to me by the artist Pablo Callejo, who, along with my longtime friend, writer Rob Volmar, created this comic book called The Castaways. And it was a beautifully drawn and wonderfully written story about life during the Depression in the United States. One of my favorite, most cherished pieces of original art in the collection. Here we have, and I don't know how, I have to think about, it's very cramped in here, so I got to think about how we're going to manage the proportions. This is by a local comics artist named Matt Belskis, who did this recreation of a very famous Jack Kirby comic book cover of the Hulk and the Thing in one of their legendary hand-to-hand battles. Directly next to that is my Dynamic Forces limited edition lithograph by Frank Miller and Klaus Janson. And unfortunately, they made an error in the credits at the bottom of this, and they didn't credit Janson, but he's largely responsible for the atmosphere of that image. This striking piece is a recreation, I believe recolored by Richard Isanove, if I recall correctly, of the cover of Daredevil number 181, which was, even though Miller stuck around a little while after that, number 181 was basically the climax and the peak of his time writing and drawing Daredevil. After 181, he largely turned over, he would only do breakdowns instead of full pencils, so Klaus Janson became more responsible for the artwork. The book was still good, but it was never quite the same after 181. So from 158, when Miller first came on as artist, to 168, where Miller took over the writing duties, to 181, So take your pick whether you want to start with 158 or 168 for Miller's starting point. He didn't start writing it until 168, which was, I believe, the first issue with Elektra in it. But up to issue 181, this cover is number 181, and then there was another 10 issues, I think, after that, with Miller writing and doing breakdowns, Janson doing the finished artwork. And then it ended with number 191, which actually Janson did not participate in. It was inked inside by Terry Austin, and I think the cover was just by, oh, there's the kitty. Say hi, Roo Kitty. Say hi. She never does what I ask. So anyway, that's the story of the Daredevil 181 print. Here we have a limited edition art print of a photograph. Oh, this is going to be tough with the lighting in here. You can look this up, though. It is a limited edition a print of a photograph by the great writer Alan Moore, one of my most loved writers. The photograph was taken by the great comic book colorist and artist Jose Villarrubia. Probably Villarrubia is probably the pronunciation. I apologize for that, Jose, in the off chance you actually see this. Very thoughtful pose that I'm having trouble because of the lighting in here, but also very eerie, a very eerie piece depicting Mr. Moore in a typical intimidating pose, and it is hand-signed by Alan Moore and Jose Villarrubia, apologies again. And what is the number on there? It's number 235 of 500, and that was published by or printed by Top Shelf Productions, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. So that's another very cherished piece of art. Sort of a random piece here. This is a convention sketch of Barbara Gordon, Batgirl from DC, by the artist Chris Sprouse. And at the time that I bought this, I got this on eBay. I think it was $20. Sprouse was drawing Tom Strong for America's Best Comics, which was written by Alan Moore. And I loved his artwork, and I thought that was a really nice drawing of Batgirl, and I would have preferred a page of original art from Tom Strong, but that was never going to be an option. So I went on eBay and I got a sketch of Batgirl by Tom Strong artist Chris Sprouse, and that's why that's here in the Toy Room Mini Art Gallery. Bet you weren't expecting to see Pablo Picasso. This, and again, the light in here is terrible, but let me see if I can bring in some light from the toy room. All right. Oh, and if I back up a little, you might actually be able to see the whole thing. So this is a family heirloom, sort of. This painting, or not a painting, it's a print that looks like a real painting if you don't look too close, depicts Pablo Picasso's famous painting, The Lovers. And it kind of, it's a painting, it's a drawing. I feel like it does fit the aesthetic of the mini art gallery outside my toy room. It's a wonderful piece. This video, clearly, I can tell just from looking, this video is not going to do it justice. But look up The Lovers by Pablo Picasso if you want to really get a feel for how moving and how just a beautiful piece of artwork that Picasso created. And not at all, before I discovered this piece, what I really thought of as Picasso's style. And it's been in the I've been in the family, I think, about 50 years. I inherited it from my parents. So, before we check out the pile of crap, one final piece, and this is a piece of original art by artist Joe Staton, who lives about 2 hours south of us here in northern New York, and is a frequent guest at a comic book convention that I frequently go to. My wife's favorite comic book characters are Archie and the gang, and for her birthday one year, I commissioned Joe to do a drawing of Archie and Betty and Veronica and Jughead, and he did that. Beautiful piece right there. And if you can figure out why we chose a metallic orange frame for this piece, Leave it in the comments. And finally, here in the art gallery, here's some clutter. This is, see, there's even a vacuum cleaner. This is some stuff that had to get exiled from the toy room because I just ran out of space. And we have some of those Ollie's $7 basketball figures that were originally $50 that Hasbro made, but nobody wanted to pay $50 for them, so I got 3 for $7. And I'm not even into basketball, but they are beautifully made figures. I wish they did as good a job on Marvel Legends as they did on those basketball figures. We have a bust of my favorite president, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. We have Krusty the Clown, Radioactive Man from The Simpsons, Mario and Luigi. We have a pineapple, which you may or may not know is the international symbol of hospitality and has been for many, many, many decades. We have Groot and Rocket Raccoon. And I don't think you're going to be able to see the Hulk inside that box, but it's called a Q-Fig. I'm not really sure even what that means, but it's sort of kind of like a Funko Pop kind of a thing, except it looks better than Funko Pops. We also have a lot of wolves because I have 40 Snake Eyes action figures on display in the toy room. And a lot of Snake Eyes figures come with wolves. His wolf named Timber. So there's a lot of Timbers on this table, Shiver Me Timbers. And there's also, I forget if that's a warthog or a wild boar, whatever that is in the middle there, in the center of the frame, in between the wolves. And there's an alligator back there. So this is basically my menagerie. There's some kind of dinosaur from NECA that came, I think, with a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figure. Some frogs that came with the Marvel Legends 20th Anniversary Toad. There's Captain Marvel's kitty cat. And one of Odin's crows. Are they crows? Or something? Some kind of blackbird. I think they're crows. And a big giant spider from an Ant-Man figure. And from the movie Ghost World, this is my Enid Coleslaw high fashion doll, which is inside that box. It is sort of a oversized Barbie that looks exactly like the drawing you see on the box. And that means a lot to me because the woman that Dan Clowes, when he wrote and drew the original Ghost World comics, he based Enid on a woman whose real name was Enid. Her real last name was not Coleslaw, but Enid Coleslaw was an anagram for Dan Clowes, or Daniel Clowes. But the real-life Enid, who he based the character in the graphic novel and the movie on, lived about 40 minutes south of here, and I became friends with her about 14 years ago. And then sadly, she died of cancer about a year ago. She had a brain tumor, and I tried to spend as much time as I could with her before she passed because she was a brilliant, wonderful, compassionate, decent woman. And I wish I had spent more time with her than I got to, but the last time that I saw her, I really thought she was going to make it, and it turned out she did not. But I did get one last photograph of her on that visit. And that photo and this Enid high fashion doll, which really does actually capture her defiance and sassiness. God love you, Enid. I miss her so much. But anyway, that's why you find Enid Coleslaw here in the art gallery of the toy room. Oh, and my little mini statue of Doctor Doom, too. There's a 12-inch version of this, or a 12-inch scale version of this that I've seen, and it's really impressive. Mine is more a 6-inch scale, and it actually fits in well with Marvel Legends. I used to have the Fantastic Four Marvel Legends figures arrayed around that Doctor Doom. But Doom is no mere action figure. He is an expensive upscale statue and shall not be mocked. So there's that. And then we have a little collection of some of my favorite books. Library of America volumes by Shirley Jackson, Raymond Carver, H.P. Lovecraft, and a couple of horror anthologies, and some other books, and the great graphic novel Alec, The Years Have Pants, which is a collection of an incredibly thick collection of unbelievably good autobiographical comics. And that is basically what we have here in the mini art gallery outside my toy room. For those of you who watch my action figure obsession videos. And thanks to Dr. Witty Banter for requesting a tour of the toy room. And Rue, one last chance to say hello to everyone. Want to come back and say hello? Come on, come say hello. Come say hello. Come see Daddy. There you go. There's Ruru Kitty's debut. Actually, I think there is one other video of her on the channel somewhere, if you poke around hard. Oh my God, she's going in the toy room. I have to go. Hey, if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified whenever I do another crazy video like this. And again, thanks to Dr. Witty Banter for asking for a tour of the mini art gallery of the Avian and Loaded channel. I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for stopping by.